Welcome to the latest Facebook Live from Minerva Growth, where we look to bring value to business owners around the globe on topics that will be useful to them right now and also in the future. So, good afternoon. Thanks for agreeing to take part today. Can you please introduce yourself and your business?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, mate. My name's Stuart James. I'm a photographer and videographer. My business is Emotive.
This is going to be a good one. So, start us off. Talk us through Emotive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been a photographer for, well, actually paid and been my sole income for 16 plus years now. But Emotive launched 2 years ago, and it launched because I wanted to focus on the corporate side of things as well as the social events that I was covering. And it was like, okay, let's pick a name out there. And I always go on about the content we create and we put out there has got to create an emotional impact. If it doesn't strike on someone's emotions, you may as well not bother, because you've just got to create that much noise. It's insane. So that's where the whole emotive sort of came from. And it just sort of tied in. Admittedly, it's an absolute pain in the backside when it comes to URL because it's how many E's are in the middle of it. But apart from that, it's all good. So yeah, that's the company name, and it's everything to do with business imagery, still or moving.
Amazing. I rolled my eyes when you said 16 years, because obviously you're the Peter Pan of the photography world, and I'm sure you were still in school 16 years ago.
Pretty much, mate. Yeah, pretty much. Literally, I'd got my first wedding bookings before I'd even left school, mate. So, yeah,
So
contract was
cool.
signed, the bank account was running.
So come on then, how did you get started?
It's all my old man's fault. So my first job was carrying his box. That was it. It was literally carrying the box for a well-established wedding photographer. Worked with him, and he eventually gave me a camera to go and shoot some stuff on a wedding, and the client bought the photos, and the rest, as I say, is history. It sort of evolved from there. We worked together for about 8 years, and then I set off on my own. I actually set off in direct competition with him, which was interesting because I was living under his roof and he'd got the mortgage to pay and I hadn't. Yeah, it was interesting for 18 months, mate, because we were basically fighting for the same clients. But my style evolved. It evolved into what it is now, and it led from there. And then with the whole advent of digital, when it came to corporate clients coming in, I've got to thank my old man because it was an established client and he pushed them my way because they needed digital, they needed the quick turnaround. I could do that, he couldn't. And yeah, that client is still with me now, 15 years later. So it's everything happens for a reason. Look after people right, and it comes back and looks after you.
Love doing these type of interviews because some people I know really, really well. Some people I know better. Some people I don't know at all. But someone like you, I've known you probably for 2.5 years, I think. I've had the
Yeah, yeah.
fortune of knowing you. So I know little bits about you. But there's always more I want to learn. So I ask some of these questions. I've got an idea how you're going to answer them already, but I'm interested to see how you come back with these. So what impact does your business have on your clients?
Honestly, it allows them to own their space. That's what it's about. It brings a confidence to them. Almost everyone I know says they hate being photographed. They hate having their photograph
Is that
taken.
true? Everyone says
Yes,
that. It's
mate.
not just me then, yeah?
It's not just you, mate. No, but it's that whole point that building that confidence with people when I'm out on a shoot, and well, before a shoot, and in the pre-planning and everything. But then during the shoots, building that confidence in them, and then giving them imagery that blows them away, that they can't wait to use, and get it out there. And you see them, they put the first couple of photos online, and they get these huge amount of responses, and it's like, okay, boom, I did that. And you know full well that even though commercially they don't get that same response all the time, it works. They're putting themselves out there, they're connecting, they're communicating and standing out. You've got to put yourself out there, mate. It's and that's what I allow my customers to do with confidence and hopefully with a bit of style as well.
I'm smiling from ear to ear because that sounded like my story exactly. So we did the photo shoot back in June. So what's that, about
Yes,
three
mate. Yeah,
months ago?
yeah.
And I have to say, this is not the Emotify advert for 25 minutes, but you know what? The photo shoot was literally the easiest I've ever done. It made me feel, I hate smiling. I hate having pictures. I hate the focus being on me. Anyone who knows me really well knows I absolutely squirm. I could have a laugh and a joke in front of a room, but actually the reality of that lens on me, I feel like an absolute dick and it's just hideous. But actually, I think my first reaction to you was fuck when I saw those images come through. Literally, that was me just going, oh my god, I need to open these first of all. Then it was like that. Fuck, these are amazing. And then I've only put about two or three out. And I think I got
Mhm.
60 odd out there. But just the initial response has blown me away. The interaction I've had, but it's literally made me up my game as well, thinking, oh my God, these are so powerful. There's so much I can do with them. And as I say, I probably used three images to date. And I probably got 60, 64, 63, 60 odd anyway in the bag that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can use any one of them. And for the next couple of years, they are awesome images. I think you have a very special eye and you're very creative and you know what you're trying to achieve. And someone like me who doesn't quite understand, I can use an iPhone and take some images, are okay, but I don't quite get the next level that you do, makes the whole process so much easier. So you can
Yeah,
have them.
absolutely. No, thank you very much, mate. I appreciate that. And yeah, for me, it's seeing you use those images then within your marketing and everything. And you say you've only scratched the surface of that
Mate, they're
bank of
everywhere.
images yet, but
Everywhere.
it looks the part. You scroll down the feed and it's like, oh yeah, that looks good. That looks good. And it's like, oh yeah, I did that. So it's yeah, mate. But
Very
it
cool.
works. That's the point. It
It's
makes you stand out.
skills. So, next question, and I probably know the answer, but it would be good to hear the explanation. What's happened to you in the businesses over the past, COVID period?
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. So yeah, as I briefly mentioned, I have got a background in social photography still,
Hmm.
and while I say still, I haven't had much of a background in it this year, because of course all weddings and everything got completely cancelled, and they're still pretty much cancelled. Thankfully, I've got Emotive Eye, and I've got that as the corporate side of things, and it's been really interesting. So over the period, initially everyone went into shutdown, head in the sand, and just like crying. I did the opposite. And it was like, okay, so what can I do now? Well, how can I pivot? What can I do different? What can I offer? And started taking on some commissions that I wouldn't normally do, like animation work and things. And it's like, actually, I bloody enjoy this. It's good fun because I can still use my skill set just behind a computer rather than in front of people. And yeah, it's been interesting, but it's opened up opportunities. And I've got so many more things in the pipeline that are early days. That I'm excited to get out there over this quarter. For me is going to be super exciting. There's no doubt about it, because businesses are getting back out there. They're realizing they need content. They're realizing they need show-stopping video to connect to their clients, and images, obviously. And so hopefully, with me constantly being there, I've never let my presence drop at all. I'm going to be front of their mind, and the brand's there. That's the point, really.
I think your industry is quite similar to mine, and that people have never valued it as much as they value it
Mhm.
right now, and probably never need it as much as they need it right now as well. We come back to this normality type, but it's not. It's very different to what it was, 7, 8 months ago. This time last year, it's a completely different world. But this is what we've got. It's about making the most. There's so much opportunity out there right now. It's bags, bags, and bags and bags of potential for everyone out there. It's just how you look at it.
Yeah, I think mindset is the biggest thing around it all. Mindset and energy, and yeah, I'm not one who believes in all healing crystals and all that, but I do believe what
Stop,
goes
mate.
around comes around.
Seriously.
Yeah, sorry, mate, that's not my thing. It's maybe it goes with the van that's outside, but it definitely doesn't go with
I'm
anything
not
else.
saying a word.
But energy and everything, what goes around comes around. You get in what you put out, and if you put out positivity, you'll get it back in spades. There's no point sitting in a corner crying. Instead, go out there, push yourself, push the boundaries a little bit, stand out, and people will come to you then. That's my thoughts.
I'd just like to backtrack slightly on the healing crystals, and if you are into that kind of thing, then it's absolutely fine. Each to their own. I do know there are some of my audience out there who have got quite thriving businesses around that kind of stuff. Do you know what? It's each their own. Everyone's so different, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
never say never is the other thing I'd
Right,
say, because some of
absolutely.
the
And
stuff that I do and believe in now is stuff I would have killed myself 10 years ago, laughing at myself.
totally.
Each their own. It's a wonderful old place. Just saying, sound baths. If you ever get bored, just Google what a sound bath is. Another story for another day. So, what
Hey,
drives and motivates you?
that's what I'm thinking about, because I'm not one who's the typical thing of success and all that. For me, I'm a creative. I get excited by creating stuff and seeing that used. And I'm more of a creative than a businessman by a long shot. And so, yeah, I do get motivated and excited by that side of things. But I guess from a business sense, my drive, my ambition, what I want it to do for me is to give me time and give me quality of life. That's the biggest point. I want to, over lockdown, I've realized the importance more than ever of time, and I want to make sure I bloody well keep that and get that balance right. And so I'm not just chasing work all the time or chasing the next edit or even the next invoice. Instead, it's get it balanced right and get enough money in the bank constantly. Nice bit of residual income from one source or another, which we've spoken about in the past. But it's that, yeah, controlling things properly is sort of where I'm at. That's where my mind's at, definitely.
I love that, and I think that's very much what everyone, pretty much the whole world, is are seeing that, and they want the new world to be very, very different, and all the stresses and the pressures and burning, candle at every end you possibly can, and all that kind of stuff. I hope now the world has really changed enough, and this sticks with us forevermore. People want better quality of life, more real touch type stuff that it's only when you lose these rights, these privileges, that you actually want them more and appreciate how important they are as well.
Right, absolutely. And yeah, I just hope you're right that we do go into a better normal once all of this calms down. It's I'm certainly going to try and control my side of things as much as I can.
Absolutely.
That's saying that 21 is going to be the most insane year ever, I think, from a business sense. But hey, let's
Still
roll
got
with it.
4 months to go before we get that far, but absolutely,
Oh
I think the next
mate,
4 months are going to
absolutely.
be amazing. So, with that in mind, how do you see the world right now? I think you've dropped a few nice little nuggets into that. So, how are you seeing the world right now? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, I mean, I saw a hell of a lot of positives during the whole lockdown period, and even things like looking up and seeing clear skies. Looking at pictures of around the world, like LA with a clear sky. It was beautiful, clean seas and everything. And then it infuriates the hell out of me when I see that we're going back to throwing everything away straight away, and it does sadden me, and it annoys the life out of me. Nothing annoys me more now than seeing disposable face masks as litter. And I'm like, geez, has no one learned that we need to take care of each other and the planet? That's my side of things from that. I could hark on about that for ages. It really does gripe
Funny
on me.
enough, I've been looking at exactly the same. I'm going to try and find this Instagram account if I can find it now. But there's a whole thing about people dropping these disposable masks down with the
Hmm.
cords on and trapping
Yep.
up nature. And the old thing with the plastic, like the beer can
Yep.
things that
Yep.
kept the beer cans together. And we all know you have to cut those up now. Well, the new thing is people just dropping masks on the floor are killing animals really, really quickly when they just can't. They're getting caught in them. And there's
Yeah.
thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. Save the
Sickening me.
Reef. Save the Reef is an amazing Instagram page if anyone is interested in this type of stuff. It's a charity organisation, Save the Reef, on Instagram, and they just push some really good stuff out, which makes you really sit up and take notice of it all. But it's awful, some of this stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah, but I
Short
mean,
sighted.
spinning things back around to a business point of view, I think one of the biggest things that's exciting the hell out of me is that everyone's got involved with this now, online communications and working remotely and things. It's brilliant. I'm such a. I mean, I used video messaging, video, live videos and all sorts of things all the time anyway. But now the whole world has got on top of it. I'm like, this is awesome. I can be in a meeting, straight into another meeting, and I've got no travel, no hassle. Mate, I'm loving that side of things. And I think there's going to be a real interesting shift as to, I mean, my wife started a new job and she's working from home. She's never had that in her life, that she's working from a home office. It means I've had to tidy up a little bit so she doesn't kill me. But, that's probably a good thing anyway, but it's, that's going to be an interesting side to the new world. I think there's going to be a lot of shift with that. The businesses are going to see that they don't need huge offices anymore. Instead, they need to look after their staff a bit better and spend the money in different ways,
I
potentially.
love the fact that we've been talking about this now for 10, 15 years, that working remotely, people can do more, and businesses never believed it. Now they've had to do it. They've never tested it before. And actually what's happened is, on the majority, the productivity has gone through the roof. And I
Hmm.
think There's one of my neighbours is going back as a phase back to work next week, and he's absolutely crapping it because he's got so much done without having distractions of being in a busy office and phone calls, conversations over your head. He's actually been able to sit down and just sit in his office and smash work out. Going back to the office, and that is going to have a detrimental effect to his output and productivity.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's there's so many interesting things with people going back to the office and different HR things to look at and everything else. But yeah, that productivity one, I think that's going to be a big one. And a lot of companies possibly haven't appreciated that yet, and it could bite them on the ass. There's no doubt about it. And
100%.
yeah.
100%. So I love the fact that you've never actually really worked for anyone, and you've always been either self-employed or working within the family business or your own
Mhm.
business. So what's the best tip you'd offer to someone who's thinking about starting out right now?
Plan everything as much as you can. Make sure
Like
you've
that?
got. Don't just go in. Don't get me wrong. I think when you do go in, balls deep sort of thing. Don't mess about. It's
You went there?
oh, well, mate, you know me. You know it was going to go there. But when you do it, go for it big. But make sure you've got everything lined up first. Make sure something I never did for years was have a business plan. But you need to have it. You've got to have strategies in place and strategies on managing your time. I'm still not the best at it now, but when I get busy, I have to plan to the minute what I'm going to be doing because otherwise I lose control. And I stress then. So yeah, just plan as much as you can and try and keep things controlled. And seek advice. Seek advice from people who know what they're doing, know what they're talking about. Even people who are going to be your direct competitors. You'll be amazed at how welcoming some people can be. Expect the opposite response quite a lot as well. But yeah, seek it out. Even if you go into different areas and talk to people about what you're thinking about doing, just see opportunities and take them. That's yeah.
That's great
You've only got
advice.
one chance, mate.
That's great advice. I think I can say, put my hand up and say 4 years ago, I hadn't planned the business properly as much as I needed to. Or, the business started and moved quite quickly into different
Mhm.
areas that I'd never really planned about. It's fallen into the right path now, but it was like, it's quite interesting. And I think having that whole planning, in fact, this wasn't a plug, and this sounds like a setup, but it actually wasn't. My next product is going to be the Business Plan Writing Academy, which comes out this week. So, again, I reckon there's probably 99% of businesses out there who just don't have an effective plan that's viable for them going forward, especially in the current climate. So I'm all about trying to teach as many people as I can how to plan properly, effectively, and make it worthwhile as a living document and get on with it, basically. So watch
Yeah,
this space. That'll be coming out quite quickly.
your business plan can be as simple as one solid piece of A4 that you work
100%.
stuff out, work out what your bills are going to be, work out what you can charge for X, Y, and Z. Make sure it financially makes sense, because if it financially doesn't make sense, don't do it.
Absolutely.
It's, I was talking to someone the other day and, he's got an established business, got his head screwed on, but talking about, have you looked at your cost of doing business for this or not? And sometimes it was products and it was actually outsourcing the work because these times better spent doing something else. And it takes a lot to realize that sometimes, but I'm an advocate for outsourcing. If I can get someone else to do something for me and it frees my mind up, sweet, that's got to be a good thing.
All day long. I think having a fag packet business plan is better than having no plan. I think the a 30-page. I see coaches out there who endorse these 40, 50, 60-page business plans. To me, they're just never going to be a living document. You're never going to open it. You're going to write it and it's going to be sat on the shelf, getting dusty. You're never going to be able to use it. So as you say, a one pager is amazing. If you can live and breathe it all day long, then it's really, really powerful.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. So yeah.
Excellent. I like that. Great advice. So what project are you currently working on that is most important to you?
It's actually one that's quite selfish. It's actually about me
Yep.
and my business. So understanding how to sell Emotive Eye and communicate a story behind it has always been a bit of a challenge for me. I did a workshop with, I believe he's been a guest of you before, Adam Butler from 119
Yep.
Society.
Absolutely.
So he's a guest on my podcast as well, and great guy. So as soon as he launched a storytelling masterclass, I was like, okay, I'm on that. I can't miss it. It's right up my street. It's what I do all the time for my clients anyway. But then off the back of it, I've actually got the outline of a whole story for my company, and it's something that once we've got it together over the next couple of weeks, that's going to be almost a plan and a whole content sphere that can probably live for 6, 12 months. So that's really bloody exciting, that it's not just going to be a case of sharing the same old stuff and trying to respin something or, you know, return the wheel. It's going to be something that's real, and I'm really excited about that. It's going to be interesting to put it out there in many different ways, mate.
I love that. That's cool. So the next question was going to be, which you've just alluded to a little bit, what's next for either you or the business?
Well, the next thing for the business for me is growth, a natural sort of growth, where I've already got a couple of freelancers that work with me on things, that on various projects, and I want to grow that side of things as much as anything to spread time out a little bit more effectively, so I can work on the relationships and build the connections where I need to. But then I've got a team of people around me that can dip in for other things, so it doesn't always have to be me. That's why it's not my name above the door. But an exciting long-term project is to take Emotive on the road. I want to spend some time traveling. I've got this huge, bloody great big white van on the drive.
It is
that I'm
massive.
converting.
It's huge.
It's huge, mate, isn't it? Yeah. I've got that I'm converting. And the long-term goal is to be able to take my job on the road and be in a city for 2 days or 3 days and smash out some amazing work for a company, you know, various companies, and then move on to somewhere else and live that sort of semi-nomadic life for a while, while still doing exactly what I do, but having a bit more quality of life as well, because then home will be where I park it. That's a long-term aim. Who knows if I'll actually get there or if I'll just use it as a holiday thing, but it's good to have a dream, mate.
Great vision. It's a great dream to have.
Yeah, man,
very cool.
Absolutely.
So how much more work, how many more weeks of work have you got into this thing?
Oh, mate, it's a never-ending pit of.
Remember, this is recorded,
hours.
So you are holding yourself accountable right now.
Absolutely, I'm already accountable for it, because we've put down in the diary that we want to go away for my birthday, which is 18th of October. So that's when it's going to be. So 5 weeks, I think it is, 5 and a bit weeks. So yes, oh dear, I think is the phrase, because my God, there's a lot of work to do on it. But if only work didn't keep getting in the way, that's the thing. It's but pays the bills, mate. But yeah, I'm excited to do that, because it's going to give us that release and that quality of life a little bit more. And even stupid things like, I'd say Beck's now stuck in the house 24/7 with me and the dog. I don't bear that on anyone really. But that whole idea that we can get to 4 o'clock on a Friday night, jump in the van and drive. Doesn't matter where we get to, we can just enjoy and explore. That's going to be so important, I think, for Beck's well-being, as well as her not killing me as well. So yeah, I need to get that van finished.
It sounds healthy all around, mate. So very insightful, as I knew it would be. Very informative, as you always are. If we've captured anyone's attention and wants to know more about Emotify, how does anyone get in contact or get further information?
Absolutely, mate. So the website is emotivi.co.uk. Remember, it's got that multitude of E's right in the middle. Or find me on Facebook, Twitter, jump on LinkedIn and search for Stuart James. Or indeed, if you want to find out a little bit more about the sort of things I like to share and talk about, have a look at the podcast. You've been a guest yourself, mate, and it's cool. Called The Personal Connection. Search for it wherever you get your podcasts from. It's all about bringing different experts, different minds to the mic every fortnight, or it should be every fortnight, to chew the fat and give advice and tips to small business owners to transform the way that they communicate and do their business.
I can also, it's like the Stuart James Appreciation Club. It's the podcast is very, very good. I'll put it in my top 3 probably podcasts out there that listen to. I use it from Spotify. Spotify's amazing because you can make it a little bit faster and get through it and just listen to it all and go, oh my God, that's really good. But it's well worth subscribing to. So yeah, absolutely, without any shadow of doubt, I highly recommend that. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. When this goes out, I will also share some of the images just so I can, talk about me. I can share those images out again and show the creative work that you do as well. And I'll put all the links in so people can find out and track you down and get some more information. But I appreciate your time. Always a pleasure.
Mate, absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for the opportunity.